wrap up, and then we can break and have a continue networking. This session has been sort of beyond the hub, and I think now Vili's going to come up and talk about looking forward to Hub 2.0. So without further ado, over to you.
Oh.
Thank you. We can just, there you go.
Testing, can you hear me?
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, David. Yeah, thanks to the organizers for these wonderful events. It's very good to see you all here today. It's very difficult to be the last presenter, but it's even much more difficult when I present after so many wonderful presentations from the morning till now. So, and I know that we heard this morning from our director that we're here for a showcase, but for this presentation, it's time to show off. So give yourself a very big hand. Yeah. Congratulations and well done for all the great work done so far. I think based on all the projects and the presentations this morning and all the discussions, you have done well. But that's the first step of 100 steps to go. So congratulations. It's time to feel good about the achievements made, done, but also it's important to start thinking ahead as well. And it's in facing droughts and climatic events or some of these natural hazards, you have to find a time to pause and reflect. It's not just to learn, but to absorb some of the achievements and feel good about the positive things you have done and some of the successes, because it can be extremely exhausting. So I think that it's very important that we are doing this today. But it's time to show off, as mentioned earlier. So this is a very important partnership. As we always say, that the hub is built on the shoulders of giants. Every organization in this partnership is a giant, and they have done and established really well and doing really well across the region and also in Australia. But together, they have performed much more and achieved more. So I think that is very important for us to remember. And I just want this presentation, before we get to the Hub 2.0, it's important just to reflect a little bit back, to recap, because there are some fundamental important components of Hub 1.0 that we should be proud of. And this is the partnership as mentioned in the morning. So it looks like very nice and colorful up there, but it is a partnership of 10 giants. And they all perform different roles and they all lead different roles. When it was mentioned earlier that we are the hub and the hub is us, this is what it looks like. So it's important to understand the structure of the Vic Hub in a 1.0. And this is what it looks like. Different organizations leads different activities. So when you are engaged, for example, a CMA is engaged by Purchase Cropping Group to work on drought resilience there, that's you engaging in the hub. Because sometimes the CMA says, we are not engaged in the hub. And then we say, then who do you work with? Oh, we work with Purchase Cropping Group. And then when we look at the data, I said, you are working with the hub. So that's very important for us to understand. And the second reality there as well, the rethinking of drought resilience, as we heard, really covered really well. That is a very innovative way in our hub, in the way that we are approaching drought preparedness, as it was the focus. And my brother Cam covered that really well this morning, Fiona as well. So it was fantastic. I don't need to go there again. But this is a very important rethinking process. We are still working on it now. And I think in the next 6 months and the next year, into Hub 1.5, we're trying to clarify some of these processes as we go along. You also heard, we call these processes in processes. We do have a lot of processes. So we do have consultations, as it was mentioned earlier, different types of consultations. We have a standard method, as Alina showed earlier, but there are different ways partners do consultations, fit for purpose type of approach that are happening. There is a way that they go design, identify the type of projects to address the needs. There's a different way to implement some of those and then do the evaluation and monitoring and evaluation. So 10 partners, and the core of this implementation are all happening on the ground as it shows here. All the consultation, The co-designing, most of the co-designs are done at the regional nodes level in order to reflect and to follow the needs, to address the needs of the farmers. So this is the theory of change of our big hub. So this is what we always call the beautiful chaos, the theory of change, because if you look at all those 10 giants, they are like superstars of their own. They're almost like your footy team. So it's very hard to put superstars together into one team. And then like a footy team, if a person like myself have no idea about footy rules, I'm just starting to learn. I've been forced to cheer for Geelong. There was the former chairman that Professor Tim Reeves said, if I look at Geelong playing, I have no idea what they are doing. It looks chaotic on the field. They're just running in circles, kicking from each other to each other, and then catch and bounce it off and then score the goal. And then from myself, it's like, it's very chaotic. But every player in that team knows exactly what they're supposed to do. And every player knows what each other is supposed to do. They had a game plan, and their coaches, and a lot of you who understand the rules, knew there was a process, there was a system in place. And when you understand the different roles and responsibilities, well coordinated, and everybody knows what each other's role, then the chaos becomes very beautiful. So in our theory of change, it's a very interesting one because it looks at two fundamentals. One, if the partners can work together, and all of these groups can work together and stakeholders can work together to develop processes, develop the plans, consult, and so forth, then there is a very good possibility that there will be a flow of knowledge. And then the flow of technologies all the way down to the farmers who bring those needs forward. And the most important part here in this theory of change, it's about the decision-making context. It's how these knowledge systems contribute to influencing the decision-making of the farmer. If you follow me now, I'm not just mentioning the decision-making process, I'm following the decision-making context, because drought resilience is very contextual. And that is very important for us. It's not just about who makes a decision, but why. So when we do these consultations, they provide the needs, and they provide the reasons why they need those knowledge systems or those value systems or those rule systems or policies to help the decision-making to shift to resilience. So, and that's why you saw some of the projects like Drinks and some of those, the young farmers networks coming in order to look at the needs of the youth, the needs of the farmers and different groups. So we have implemented more than 100 projects. As you see here, I said this is a time to show off. So, and this is the diversity of the projects we covered. Most of them are on the biophysical. There's a lot of knowledge of climate change, digital tools and technologies, business continuity, farm management, social supports. Mental health was, as mentioned this morning, a priority, resources and incentives as well, and risk financing. So these are some of the diversity of projects that we have covered across the hub. It's also important to know that between June to December, 126 learning activities covered almost 9,000 farmers, but that's 69% of the participants to these learning activities. 48 trials. We see a lot of impacts in some of the work that we do as recorded from the partners. And then we only have very few environmental focus projects. We will get back to this later. We collaborated with more than 100 farmers, 100 partners all across Victoria, as well as some of the CSIRO, the Bureau of Meteorology, Agriculture Victoria, and also the cross hubs. So this is fantastic. And during that time frame, we managed to mobilize almost $19 million. And this is just a snapshot from the group, because every partner on their own are also mobilizing, as you will hear later on. And these are some of the examples from the long-term trials that we heard this morning. So before I go to Hub 2.0, give yourself another applause. Come on. Yeah, it feels really good because I'm also leading our MEL. And it's good that we have MEL Deborah here, because sometimes when I speak during the community of practice in the MEL, I'm so proud. Because I say, yeah, we have done that. So, but when I say we, it means all of us, including our farmers. So that's very good. Now, let's go to Hub 2.0. And I'm also very proud of this because this is part of being prepared. This is part of the overall strategy, but there are some realities here. Our hub has been through a lot of internal reviews. This is self-learning, self-monitoring, and we call ourselves, let's go do the internal review, check out our systems, look what we have done well, what we need to improve. There was a lot of learning. We also learned during those think tanks when we met some of you. That's good. Let's see Fiona here. We also met up in Bendigo, and some of those conversations we start to hear what you would want the hub to be. So like, okay, we need some engagement in this way, this way. So there are a lot of feedback coming as well from the wider communities during consultations. And then our investment oversight committee ordered us. I put recommended them, but it was actually an order that came to us and say, okay, set up Hub 2.0 task force to put a straw person. We started with straw man, but the lady said that was not right, so we call it a straw person. In order to start looking at the overarching dreams and aspiration from Vic Hub of what Hub 2.0 will look like. So when DEF indicates or asks for it, we are ready. So if you ask for it, we do it tomorrow, we are ready. So that's a very good thing. And this is the team, the 5 of us. You see that from the partners. I know that our team of 5 here don't like it when I call ourselves the Fantastic 5, but it's quite a very fantastic group that we have there. They then work together, did the draft. I see Cam is hiding. And then provided the drafts, and then send over the draft to our director at the Hub Operation Committee, send their comments in, and then we put them together and send them to the Investment Oversight Committee. You must be wondering why I'm going through this. Process is very important, so that you understand this is an order coming from the top of our Vic Hub, and then it involves everyone in putting this together, and then it goes right back to the top as well. So when they okayed and they said, yeah, so we shifted from Hub 2.0 straw person to Hub 2.0 framework. This is remember, this is an overarching framework. This is what we aspire. It's not identification of who's going to do it. These are like some of the important pillars of what we want to do from the partnership. And then the common purpose is the same as Hub 1.0 as well. But we want to understand more of how to build drought resilience, but we learn a lot from the lessons of 1.0. And in this, we put more emphasis here because we say drought resilience, but with our drought structure, with our 4 stages, it's quite very flexible to address climate change as well within this framework and focusing on multi-hazards. As it mentioned in the morning, we prepare for the drought, but the flood came. So in this structure, we're trying to look at, okay, build drought resilient, but it's more resilience of the system against drought and all the other hazards. And then identify and develop partnership. I think this is very important for us as a purpose, so we can work together. And these streams, we really need to see the extension and adoption of some of the things we have achieved or done well in Hub 1.0. Evidence that we can come and scale up in Hub 2.0. And then at the same time, continue the research and continue the projects in building new knowledges and connecting those knowledge systems to the decision-making and support original nodes and farmers and communities on the ground. You saw the 4 stages of drought. Most of the directive that was given, we focus on drought preparedness, but we recognize from the lessons last year as well, yeah, we're not frontliners of drought response and drought recovery, but somehow we will have to play some sort of support role to Agriculture Victoria and some of the government when they do that. This part, we're still trying to work out the details. I think that came from a meeting with the government before as well. So the first pillar here is consultation. We want to look at the consultation are respectful, equitable, inclusive, insightful, and ongoing. This is one important lesson we learn. Consultations, we need ongoing consultations and keep engaging the community. To identify the needs and the priorities and issues, And this is important as well, because not just the priorities from our consultations, but we look at how to align the priorities to the Victoria Regional Drought Resilience Plans, because it came from DAF as well that the hub could play a role in implementing some of those priorities. So we'll have to work on alignment of our consultation priorities from the hub processes and also from the drought plans processes, and see where the overlaps are. And then we will continue to build the relationships. And this is a very important thing. It's a marathon because we are trying to influence the decision making and the behavior of some of our stakeholders. So it takes time and a lot of patience. We do have a list of important stakeholders now that we are engaging. As mentioned, we have about 117 partners, but we are still looking for more and then see how the different stakeholders could fit in. And the focus on the levels here, because the bottom line of the hub, as we know, is looking at improving resilience of the farm, resilience of the socio-economic part of the farmer, and also the resilience of the environment. So we're hoping in the future, but this is something we're looking at Hub 1.5, is trying to improve some of the environmental components and environmental resilience as well. We also recognize in our framework the wisdom of the farmers, as mentioned, and really showcased well today. There's a lot of experiential knowledge with our farmers, and there are very good farmers as well. So we need to capture that knowledge. As we capture the story of suffering and pain and the losses from the droughts, we also try to capture the stories of inspiration and how they came out stronger from those droughts, because that's the key of our framework here. And then we take those needs and some of those lessons and some of those great ideas and take them on all the way to the project level through our co-design and the co-creation process. And this could be through the investment from the hub itself, or the hub as a platform as it is now, to mobilize partnership, to mobilize resources in order to carry out the projects to address those needs. This is very important for us because from Hub 1.0, there are a lot of needs. So it requires a lot of actions as well. And we also want to work with the best organization and the people as well. So please, during the drinking session at the end of this day, find the partners of the hub. And then I know you are the very best as well in this room. That's why you come when you're interested to work with us. So that's very good. And the place for this co-design is also at the local area, the regional level, the states, cross hubs, and also Australia. There are some projects we're thinking of 1.0 that could have all the way, that could go all the way to change the Australia way of doing things. So as I said, that it's time to show off. It's time to show off. Communication, we also committed to communicate widely and also provide important information to inform the decision making of our partners and our stakeholders, and also communicate, increase the visibility of what we are doing up to DAF and to also other stakeholders, and also communicate with each other for us as well. So that's a very important pillar. And the last one is about good governance and accountability. And this is assuring to the investors of Vic Hub and the partners of Vic Hub and the communities of Victoria and the farmers, well, and the taxpayers of Australia, that every resource we receive, we're going to use them really, really well in high effectiveness, efficiency, and really good in reporting and acquittal. So that's a very important part here. This pillar is an important one for us. This is improving the accountability and the transparency of our system and our processes, as well, especially reporting to DAF and communicating the directives from DAF to all the partners as well. We're working to build a strong theory of change as well from this process in order to see that we can amplify the beautiful chaos as well and make it even much, much, much more beautiful. And most importantly, there is a huge learning capacity of our hub in the Vic Hub and the members. There's always an adaptive management, because when we have 10 giants moving, there's a lot, one in front and the other one going sideways, and then say, like, come on, we will work together. And I think that is one of the strengths of the hub is there's a lot of learning. So we're not just monitoring, evaluating, but we're also learning as well. So this is the last step now we do. I'm trying to bring this up just for your information. We have stock taking of our operations because there are different ways we do consultations, things like that. And then we will have stock taking workshop middle this year. We come together, the partners, and see the diversity. There's a unity in diversity and the way we operate as we're trying to set up the system and the operational and processes for Hub 2.0. But this is our umbrella vision. And most importantly, for Hub 1.0, which is 2 years, of 1.5, which is 2 years, we will try to trial some of these processes so that we can add them and improve the efficiency of our system in Hub 2.0. And then we will have the final workshop after the DAF review. And DAF is very happy with us. And then they say, okay, we'll double the money to the big hub. Just joking. Yeah, but that's, and then we will finalize all the processes then. But thank you very much once again, because I think out of the impacts of everything that Big Hub contributed to so far, plus the success of the other hubs and the great work from DAF, the Prime Minister announced an extension and a long-term commitment. And I think that is something we should be very, very proud of. So put your hands together. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate the fact we're into the drink session, so I will wrap up fairly quickly. I think that was a fantastic overview of the hub and where we're headed to in the future. And I mean, I think a sign of the strength of the collaboration that we have really put the blowtorch on ourselves and had a look at, what's working well, what can we improve? And I think that that's a great mindset to have as we go forward. Just a few quick things to wrap up for me. I'd certainly like to thank all of you for making the time to come here today and our online delegates as well. So thank you very much. To the organisers, so Reb's team, in fact, anyone who's had anything to do with organising today, just please stand up for a moment, just so that we can see who they are in the room. And probably, and George is already standing, so well done to everybody there. And of course, all the presenters, and thank you. I think we largely kept the time, so I really appreciate that I was kind of rushing people on and off today, but there was a lot to get through, as you saw. Rebecca wants me to remind you that there is a blue booklet just outside the door which showcases all of the hub projects and the case studies that you saw today. So please feel free to pick up a copy of that. And a yellow booklet that has the outcomes from the climate adaptation think tank. And both of those booklets will be available on the website in the coming days. So keep an eye out for that if you'd like an electronic copy. And there's also, I think, other information out there. So please have a look at the other information that people have displayed on the tables and take a copy of something if you're interested. The tags that you are wearing today, just with the sustainability hat on, if you could recycle those, just leave them on the table out there if you don't want to take it home with you. And just to conclude, I mean, I think the future is looking bright. I can't think off the top of my head of another budget sort of commitment that goes out as far as it does for the drought hubs going forward. I mean, 8 years is a really significant commitment from any politician. It goes well beyond an election cycle, and I think that's testament to obviously how the hubs are seen nationally right now with the government, and I think bodes well for the future. So I think there's a lot of work ahead of us and the department, of course, now undertaking the review, but I'm really confident we're going to come out much better on the other side. So thanks everybody for your time today, and enjoy the drink.